We originally shot what I thought was a very clever intro to this video about Patagonia, so we're gonna roll that real quick so it doesn't go to waste. Are you thinking of moving to Arizona, but you're afraid you'll never see another lake for the rest of your life? Well, that's exactly how I felt when I moved here over 20 years ago. And I am here to show you the best hidden lake town just an hour south of Tucson. All right, now that got its screen time, here we are. I'm not on a lake, I'm not in Patagonia. I am in the middle of the desert in my house. So I'm gonna tell you about my recent visit to Patagonia, Arizona. It is the most adorable hidden gem of a town, nestled in the valley between the Santa Rita Mountains and the Patagonia Mountains. Surprisingly, not many Tucsonans even know it exists. So I felt it was time to put the spotlight on Patagonia. Let's start with the food. After the 56-minute drive, I stretched my legs and walked into Gathering Grounds, where I was immediately greeted with a friendly face and tons of smiles. They have a wide selection of breakfast and lunch options and also a ton of yummy coffee drinks. I overheard the regulars updating each other on life, and I knew it was gonna be a good day. Patagonia sits at just over 4,000 feet above sea level, so you'll get a few degrees cooler. What's more, as you saw, Patagonia offers a lake in the middle of the desert. It's over 265 acres big and reaches depths of almost 120 feet. There's a wonderful marina that you can rent paddle boards, canoes, kayaks, and even pontoons to go fishing. My choice of the day was the paddle board, so I could get my workout in while I took in the sights. After I hit the lake, I wanted to tour the city and see everything that Patagonia had to offer. So my first stop was Red Mountain Foods. This is a family-owned co-op that's right on the main strip, and I learned that it had been in the same ownership for over 40 years. You can find everything in there from fruits and veggies, basic groceries, medicine, gifts, and they had a wall of fame. I thought this was pretty cool. It was a place where regulars or people that have visited put their picture up on the wall, maybe a little poem, maybe a story, and they can share a little bit of themselves with Patagonia. Walking in there, once again, I was greeted with that Patagonia friendly face and a smile, and immediately asking me where I'm visiting from. I told them I was visiting from Tucson and asked what spots I needed to see before I left that day. They directed me to the local library, the community garden, Wagon Wheel Saloon, among other places. It's not like a big town where you can walk into places and be completely unseen. And unlike other places in the world, the locals there are so welcoming to visitors and eager to show them their favorite spots. My first stop was the local library. Upon entering, I overheard the librarian walking through with a contractor, talking about updating the windows and fixing some things up around the building. You can just tell there is a serious pride of ownership in this town. Right across the street, I sat down for a moment in the community garden, where I was swarmed by the most beautiful butterflies and surrounded by flowers and fresh veggies grown right there in Patagonia. It almost rivals the butterfly population at the Butterfly Garden in the center of town near the park. I loved visiting that spot where you were surrounded with hand-painted art on tiles and fun facts about butterflies from all over the world. The Butterfly Garden is nestled right in the center of town next to the big park, right up the street from the visitor center, just a stone's throw away from the next spot. I didn't partake, but I know you can definitely wet your whistle at the local Wagon Wheel Saloon and get a nice bite to eat at the Velvet Elvis. There's also a local tasting room that I'm definitely gonna hit up the next time I'm there. The history of Patagonia amazes me, from its ranching and mining roots to its current artistic growth. There is no shortage of things to do and people to meet. If you know me, you know I love my community radio, so I had to stop by their local community radio station and just peek in. It was fun to run into the neighbor, who was an opal collector. She showed us her collection of beautiful rocks from all over the world. While we were there chatting, a local man walked up for a bit of barbecue and was met with despair when he learned from this neighbor that the place had gone out of business just 3 months ago. It's my understanding that this barbecue place started a food truck, so maybe we'll catch them at the next spot I'm going to tell you about. If you are a bird fanatic, then Patagonia is the place for you. The Tucson Audubon Society has the Patent Center for Hummingbirds, where you can stroll through gardens that were grown specifically to attract these beautiful birds. Not just hummingbirds though. There are birds of all types there for you to geek out on. As the sun went down, I paid a visit to the infamous Patagonia Lumber Company, which was a former lumber company turned live music venue. I was able to catch one of their special events where they roll a food truck up, they have a live musician, and the dance floor was packed. The food was almost sold out by the time I got there. I think I got one of the very last plates. Walking back to my car and watching the sunset off of Red Mountain was one of the most picturesque views I've seen. It was set to the soundtrack of locals catching up with each other, laughing and cheering, dancing and reveling in the spirit of Patagonia, enjoying the city they live in. This, to me, was what I took away from my experience at Patagonia, was the people. So if you want to be one of those people and live in Patagonia, feel free to give me a call.